Chibi, it's time.
So, before we start anything really quick here, Kayble, you're probably wondering why you're chained to the table. There's a really good answer to that.
It does hurt.
Yes, I had to make sure the cuffs were extra tight so that way you wouldn't run from what I'm about to say. We're going to talk about a couple movies. One of which is one that you promised that we were going to talk about. And that's Godzilla vs. King Kong.
You said we were talking about Shin Godzilla.
We're talking about Godzilla vs. King Kong.
You're an ass. I don't want to talk about that dumbass monkey.
We're going to talk about the monkey. But you know what? We will talk about Shin Godzilla. It's just we promised people we would talk about this, so we're doing it.
Fine.
Okay. So, now that the bit's done, hi everyone. Yeah, we're talking about this now. We just finished watching Shin Godzilla. Do we want to get like first impressions out of the way? Is that what we want to do?
Well, first impressions of what? Do you want to give first impressions of Shin Godzilla or first impressions of Lizard versus Chimp?
I think we've made it very clear we're not fans of Godzilla vs. Kong.
No, if I have to be here to talk about this, we're going in depth on it about why I fucking hate that movie.
Oh yeah, we will. But just overview thoughts of both films. Shin Godzilla is way better in every given way.
Shin Godzilla does something impressive that you mentioned, which is... I don't think there's a Godzilla movie where you like the humans more than you do in Shin Godzilla.
The humans are actually very likable, which is something that is like a cardinal sin in Godzilla films. Like, the humans are always the worst part. And they're amazing in Shin Godzilla. But we'll get into that later. But first, we have to talk about the bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Kayble, would you like to lead us in talking about this? More like I'm going to force you to talk about this. We need to go in depth into this movie. I'm not letting you skip parts.
Oh my god. So, we're starting with Godzilla vs. Kong?
Yes.
Alright. Well, Godzilla vs. Kong is a lovely period piece about a giant monkey that won't go home. And then there's a big lizard that no friend. Alright, so Shin Godzilla. Alright, let's start breaking this one down.
Oh, there's more to it than that. So, for context, Godzilla vs. King Kong is a movie that is a part of a trilogy, technically, involving the legacy versions of both Godzilla and King Kong. I say it's a trilogy because the only ones that people care about are the Godzilla movies, let's be honest.
Nobody cares about Kong's Skull Island.
Kong's Skull Island was terrible, let's be real.
And full disclaimer, if you like the legacy Godzillas, if you liked Godzilla vs. Kong or Kong Skull Island, you're more than welcome to like it. I mean, you do you. Don't ever ask me to watch them with you. I watch King of the Monsters, though.
I was gonna say is, the original, it was 2014, I believe, is the first Godzilla movie for the legacy version.
I believe so. I can fact check that.
Yeah, we'll fact check that really quick. But it was not great. Pretty bad movie. Most people would agree with that.
The scene where he kills the Mutos isn't bad.
But that's like the ending of the movie.
Yeah, again, the ending isn't bad.
It's good when it's over. But the biggest egregious part is they spend the most time with human characters that you don't care about and don't sympathize with at all. And then King of Monsters released, which is a great movie because it spends a lot more time with the monsters and characterizes them to a degree that makes them more human than the actual humans in the film, which is sad.
Yeah.
And then we have Godzilla vs. Kong, which is the last iteration of this legacy trilogy, which carries over a character from the second movie who we all loved. we all love the girl, don't we, Kayble?
Oh yeah, girl. We loved her. She
Wasn't her
was
name like
wonderful.
Alexis or something like
It was
that? I don't
Madison.
remember. Madison.
And
See, I didn't even remember her
I
name.
hate the name even more. That name bothers the shit out of me.
So characters and plots from King of Monsters carryover.
I also found a new image to put on here real quick because this is just more pro Shin Godzilla stuff. Carry
Sure.
on.
But we're going to talk about the plot here for Godzilla vs. Kong. The plot is remarkably simple. It is essentially this convoluted mess of Godzilla is angry because for some unknown reason this company decided to take the skull of King Ghidorah and try to use it to make this is going to be a full spoiler podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to go into full detail.
So this is your only warning at the count of 5. Evacuate. Go watch the movie if you want to see it yourself, because we're going to ruin the shit out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Mechagodzilla. He's right there on the screen. I don't know why we even had to bother giving a spoiler warning when he's right there.
You see, the thing is, you don't know that that's Mechagodzilla, because that could easily be the frame for a Gunpla before you put the armor on it.
It really does kind of feel like that when you watch it. So they use the skull of King Ghidorah for creating Mechagodzilla, which already doesn't add up. But then they, for some reason, this company did this because they wanted to do something. I don't remember what their reasoning for all this was. I think it was just because.
I don't actually know either. I think it was the further, progression of humanity or some shit, like they wanted to kill the Titans and then be the only ones with this big monster so that they could fucking rule the world. Who knows?
But
Also,
they didn't take into account... Okay, go ahead.
Oh no,
Sorry.
the fucking pilot from Mechagodzilla. Serizawa's son, which feels a little weird.
Who never is brought up in any of the other 2 films. At all. He just kind of appears. He's like, I'm here now and I'm upset that Dad is dead.
Alright, continue, Chibi. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, don't worry. Because this plot is terrible. They didn't take into account that King Ghidorah, while being dead, by the way, it's just his skull that they're using, not like his brain or anything. But somehow King Ghidorah possesses Mechagodzilla. King Ghidorah possesses, his ghost possesses Mechagodzilla.
You gotta specify this, Chibi. His alien ghost from a skull possesses a humanoid kaiju robot.
Yes. And there's a whole lot more complicated mumbo-jumbo that isn't really important. Long story short, Kong was being brought in as a potential weapon for the government to fight and defeat Godzilla.
Actually,
Despite
no.
the fact,
That's not what it
what
was.
was it? What was it? It was
No, they wanted Kong to track the source of the radiation in Hollow Earth.
Oh, right, because Hollow Earth theory. By the way, this film has Hollow Earth theory for some reason.
They wanted Kong to track the fucking radiation in Hollow Earth. And under the guise of also, oh hey, we can get this lady to help us with it because Kong will die if Godzilla tracks him down. And it's like, first off, the movie already sets the precedent that... I'm not president, but I can't think of the fucking word because I'm angry at the moment. It already sets the stage that Kong is basically dead the second he steps out of his fucking protected zone because Godzilla will murder stomp him.
Because apparently, Kong used to be like an entire race. Like there's just giant monkeys who were fighting Godzilla, and it's insinuated that they all got their shit stomped.
It's, like, what do you
like, all of them.
Like, what do you expect? It's like the Kongs are already at a major disadvantage when you look at it too. It's like Godzilla can fight on land or in the water. If he gets the Kong in the ocean, he just fucking drowns it.
Can you please pull up the size chart for me, Kayble?
I don't think we can pull it up on this, but
there is a size chart that you can look at that shows like what Kong's height was in the 2017 Kong movie, which is roughly about 100 feet, which is still pretty good. But when you compare that to 2019 Godzilla, as in King of Monsters Godzilla, being almost at 400 feet, there is no contest.
Which is also kind of weird to me that Kong grows almost 300 feet in the next fucking, like, some odd, like, 30 years.
Barely no time at all.
I don't know, maybe he's been eating his vegetables.
He killed enough T-Rexes in order to get Stwonk.
They take Kong on a stupid submarine, but with this lady who knows how to talk to him. She has an adopted fucking daughter. Daughter doesn't speak. She's mute. I think she's deaf or something like that. She's the best
character.
The best human character in the movie because she doesn't talk for the entirety of the movie. Then they put Kong on a little boat and they put him out to sea, which Godzilla tracks him down and they fight on some boats. Not an awful fight. Not really one's memorable. It's kind of boring in a lot of areas.
It's fairly one-sided because, well, Godzilla has home field advantage.
Kong had to fake death.
Let's be entirely honest. Home field advantage, eventually, we find out, doesn't mean shit.
We'll get to that. Kong had to fake his death or, like, fake submission so Godzilla would leave him alone. It was like, please, no. Please. Fucking... Also, the little girl can sign language to Kong. Which... I actively was disappointed, because they were trying to, like, trick Kong. They were like, oh, you tell him his family's down in the Hollow Earth, and he'll go and find them. And we might be able to fucking find the Kongalongs, or whatever their fucking race is called. Or the fucking Hollow Radiation Point. But it's like... She kinda lies to him because her mom tells her to do it, and there's no repercussion from it. Like, Kong is still just cool with her.
He's not, because we actually find out, oh, Kong understands English, and he's just been pretending that he doesn't know what's going on, which is weird, because that doesn't make any sense.
Like, if he really felt like, if he knew what these people were doing, he could, like, grapefruit squish every single one of them without even thinking. But,
Just...
big monkey.
And then turns out Hollow Earth theory in the Godzilla universe, according to Legacy, is true. There is nothing in the center of the Earth.
No, there's a big whole world in the center of the Earth.
There's a big old, like, reverse gravity world where the original Kongs used to hang out, and apparently they fought Godzilla a bunch.
Oh my god.
And there's this etching in this, like, temple dedicated to, like, all of the Kongs, and this etching is just of Godzilla, by the way. But apparently, by placing an axe, by the way, the axe is literally just like a giant log with a piece of Godzilla at the end. That's what the axe is. If you've ever watched the trailer, that's what the axe is just a piece of Godzilla. And it gets uber-charged because of reasons.
Yeah, because it can drink radiation, but... Oh, I'm sorry I'm yawning, Chibi. You're just putting me so to sleep with this movie.
It's really bad. It's not very
good. You
good.
know what? We haven't even talked or scratched the fucking surface of the worst part of this movie.
we're gonna get to it. I want to get the general plot done before we can start talking about...
They're a part of the general plot, except they're not because they don't do anything.
Really. Not really. We'll get there in a bit.
No, he does. There's a secret hero in this movie that we can thank.
We'll get there in a bit. Okay, we're almost done with the plot. Is now with his uber-charged axe, Kong goes topside to fight Godzilla. Gets his ass beat.
Like, with the axe, supercharged, and on a terrain that he can fight at full power. It's like... Yeah, no. I like how the humans call the fight way too early, too, where it's like, oh, round 2 goes to Kong. And then immediately, like, no.
No. He gets shit stomped so hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, he does get a couple of good licks in, but it's the equivalent of, like, 2 punches versus getting your arms ripped off. That's almost verbatim what actually happens.
Yeah, he gets...
Like... Kong gets busted.
And it's like, even if you can say, oh, Kong still... Like, Kong did not have the will to fight. Kong straight bitched out at the end of that fight where Godzilla was roaring at him, and Godzilla's like, oh, I'm right here, what's going on? And Kong's like, I don't want any trouble, man. I just want to get my lunch and go sit at the table. And Godzilla's just looking at him, that's what I thought. Stay down.
Straight up just like, alright, you can't fight. Bye. And then Godzilla goes to fight Mechagodzilla, and one of the more egregious parts of this film happens, where, for some reason, despite Godzilla being able to beat Ghidorah, normally, he can't beat Mechagodzilla, so he has to use help.
I would say he could not beat Mechagodzilla simply because he just... Look at it in this perspective, Chibi. You ever deal with a really hyperactive toddler and they just burn all your energy out to where you really can't do stuff the way you normally do as well?
I suppose that's fair.
He just had a big baby throwing a fit with his glowy rattle, and he put him down for his nap. And then he finally got him to sleep, and then, oh, look what comes in. Someone let their moody teenager run into the room. And he's like, oh, well, I got a parent again. And Mom's not around. Mom exploded in the other movie.
Mom exploded. So, oh yeah, then another dumb thing happens even before the dumb thing happens. The humans in their hover car overcharge the hover car to defibrillate Kong into being the not die.
Which, realistically, should have just... Honest to God, it would have been gruesome and they would have had to make it rated R, but I would have loved it if it just, like, blew Kong's chest cavity open. And he's just, like, this is like, this'll save him, boom, and he's like, ooh, ooh, just screaming.
Oh god.
Fucking Kong screaming like that. Like, he speaks English for the first time. Like, Kong, we thought that would liberate you. Why? Why would you do this?
Okay. Yeah.
Then fuck it. They defibrillate him. He pushes his shoulder.
Up. He decides to help Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla when the humans point at Godzilla and go, not enemy. That's actually what they do. It's stupid.
He is not your enemy. Like, first off, realistically, it don't matter if you beat the shit out of me and left me for dead on the ground, Dan pointing at you going, not your enemy, isn't gonna make me not want to fuck you up if I get back up again. It's like, I don't care. Like, no, we're swapping hands. Like, realistically, Kong should have, like, put his arms under Godzilla and let Mechagodzilla punch him in the stomach.
Beat his ass.
I would have actually been okay with that.
Here's the thing. Almost the reverse situation happens where Kong, basically all he just does is grab Mechagodzilla's tail. And that's really it. That's all he actually does in that fight. He pins Mechagodzilla so that way actual Godzilla can do his fucking job.
No, you have it backwards. Godzilla keeps Mechagodzilla at bay so Kong can defeat him with the axe.
Right, because for some reason, yeah, everyone has to contribute and be cool.
Godzilla shot an atomic breath into Kong's axe to supercharge it.
Yeah, he gave him the juice. Long story short, they beat Mechagodzilla, which is admittedly a kind of cool fight.
It's alright. I'm not happy with Kong taking the win, because he's the one who does the execution of it, and that bothers me. Because out of the three of them, Kong's the weakest.
And then the movie basically ends with Godzilla about to walk into the ocean, looks over at Kong, and does the "you're all right, kid" nod, and then leaves.
Then Kong goes to live.
Verbatim, that's what he does.
Kong goes to live in the Hollow Earth again.
Yeah.
Also, we can't even address it. There was a fourth combatant in that fight, if you don't remember, because Mechagodzilla was about to kill Kong and Godzilla, but thanks to the human characters pouring alcohol on the control panel, it short-circuited Mechagodzilla's programming long enough for them to get the win. Chibi, talk about it. Your favorite scene. Your favorite scene.
Let's talk about those three characters for a second.
So it's Madison, the kid who played Fire Fist in Deadpool.
Which he was actually really good in that role.
I loved him in that movie. And then some conspiracy dude
who was right all along technically, but like not in a fun way.
Yeah, no, he was what he would call justifiably crazy. He had a single podcast and washed his hands with bleach and lived in a fucking underground bunker like a stinky man.
But it's okay, he was right all along.
I hate him so much.
So this little side plot means nothing. Outside of like one revelation which wasn't necessary and honestly could have, if it wasn't added in, would have actually made the reveal of Mechagodzilla better.
Oh my god. Oh, I forgot to fucking Fire Fist kid because I don't remember his name. He has the scene that makes me the most angry in this entire movie. When all three of them get fucking caught at the reveal of Mechagodzilla, like inside the demonstration chamber, where it's killing a whole bunch of like the fucking skull crawlers from Kong Skull Island, and they see it appear, and he's like, the conspiracy dude is like, oh my god, it's Robot Godzilla, and the kid goes, no, that's Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla. Oh my god, I hated that scene so much.
Oh, fucking, I hate you.
They just automatically decide to listen to this kid who for some reason comes to the epiphany that it should 100% be called Mechagodzilla.
He can mecha go to hell.
Which, for these three characters, it is just Robot Godzilla. Why call it Mechagodzilla? There's no difference in the name. They mean the same thing. The only reason that you call it Mechagodzilla is because that's what it's called originally. But whatever, I guess.
It's fucking frustrating. But I think that's a comprehensive summary of it.
I want to roll back for a quick second because there's an important question that needs to be asked. Why is Madison there in the first place?
Because previous movie tie-in.
There's a weird and stupid reason why she's there. It's because she thinks that what's going on with Godzilla has something to do with this company and that they might be doing something bad, and her dad, who was originally the main character, let's not even mince words, he was the main character in King of Monsters, for some reason he has like a UN job, I think. That's what it's kind of, I think that's what he has.
That or he's head of Monarch or some shit.
Something like that, and he for some reason doesn't believe her and is like, oh no, this company couldn't be doing anything wrong. in before they're clearly doing something wrong.
So
For some reason, he's bent on the fact that Godzilla is the bad guy again, when the whole movie prior was telling you that Godzilla's not the bad guy.
it kind of destroys the whole fact of like the moment he has with Sarazawa at the end of fucking King of the Monsters, where it's like, study him and realize he's not the bad guy. He's here to help us, and he's like giving Sarazawa his death promise, like, oh yeah, you know, I'll keep up your legacy. Let's make it worth it for you, Sarazawa. And then it just completely undermines it with like, fuck what Sarazawa said. This thing's a monster. I want it dead. Like, it undoes any passable character development he had in the previous movie.
Oh yeah, and I think the mom is also back. She's there for like a brief bit.
No, the mom's dead.
Oh, that's right. She's gone.
She blowed up with Ghidorah.
She blewed it up.
Final thoughts on this movie, because I don't want to talk about Kong anymore.
Yeah, no, we're gonna stop talking about this movie. Final thoughts on this movie?
Boo! Boo! Godzilla versus Kong. Boo!
Let's talk about a better movie.
Oh my god, can we talk about Shin Godzilla?
Yeah, we're not even 30 minutes in, so let's just talk about Shin Godzilla.
You know, we don't even have to. And I'm actually gonna say this. Like, I know for the sake of spoilers, we are gonna potentially spoil some stuff for Shin Godzilla in this, but I actively want to limit how much we spoil, so I don't want to do a full plot recap, because you should go watch this movie if you haven't seen it.
Flat out, I'm just gonna say this: go watch Shin Godzilla. Don't bother with Godzilla vs. Kong. Go watch Shin Godzilla.
Like, legitimately, like, I'm gonna give you a 10-second warning before this one, because Shin Godzilla is so good.
If you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, we're not gonna spoil the entire plot, but we might talk about a couple of key scenes.
I'm actually happy we didn't put the image I was going to put up here.
Yeah. Just to give you a count of 10 now. You have been warned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have been warned. Okay, so a thing that actually to note immediately, that image on the right-hand side with the noodles, that is the only joke in the entire movie.
It's so good. It's so fucking funny. Like,
and it happens out of nowhere.
Oh god, it's so fucking silly.
It's really funny, and it also is a developing moment for that character. It tells you immediately, because this is like the first time you're introduced to this dude, basically, and it tells you exactly what he's all about. Like, he's at this high political job, and he cannot give a fuck, even though there's a giant kaiju right outside his door, basically.
Yeah, he just more wants to, he's like, ugh, I just want my noodles and they're getting soggy. But, let's, like, we don't even have to go over the plot of this. I just want to, like, Jimmy, just tell me some of your favorite parts about this movie, please. Talk to me about what you like about this.
Oh, this movie has, like, I've already mentioned to you off recording before, but this movie does a couple of really interesting things that I've never seen done in a lot of, like, kaiju films. Because, for starters, this doesn't feel like a kaiju film. And there's a good reason why. The way that it is directed, the acting, the camera, like, movements and everything, it doesn't feel like a kaiju movie. Never once do you get, like, any of those, like, really cool moments where it's, like, the giant monster doing the cool giant monster thing. It's framed in a way where the movie feels like a disaster film.
Because
where
there's
Godzilla is a force of nature.
I like that there's no, like, honorable or defensive or malicious intent by it. He's just moving forward, and he keeps getting met with obstacles that are forcing him to reevaluate how he can move forward and destroy, which is what I like, because it makes him so much scarier.
there is some really scary things about this iteration of Godzilla, that screw most other iterations. This thing is terrifying. Not even the full version, even the lesser versions are scary just on the premise of what they are.
Like, you were creeped out watching it evolve for the first time when it was on land.
Yeah. There's the scene when the tiny one, the first form, when it's just walking and there's blood coming out of its gills. Really, really creepy scene, because it's not walking. Like, it's not walking through the city like you would imagine. It's shambling, because it's like a weird fetus at that point. And it's just shambling, and blood is coming out of it. And then I think probably my favorite scene has to have probably been, and this is again a mild spoiler, there's an entire scene where the entire JDF is just set up across a bridge, and they fire all of their tanks, all of their helicopters, all of their artillery at Godzilla, and it does nothing. It does literally nothing. And it is such a moment to me of pure terror, because I can only imagine the amount of logistical nightmare to get all of those forces together to fight this thing, only for it to do literally nothing. And it just kept walking. And it walking destroyed a bridge and ruined the entire force that was put together. It was all destroyed.
It's fucking insane. I would have to say my favorite scene, and this is just again, mild spoilers for this. This is, and I mentioned it to you when it happened too. They only really do one true atomic breath scene. And the lighting, the music, the way it looked, it's not even the atomic breath that gets me, it's seeing this thing just bellow out black smoke that envelops the entire city before igniting it into a massive monsoon of fire. And then when it starts to condense it down to form this high density beam and it's ripping through shit, that is my favorite atomic breath I've ever seen from Godzilla, and I like atomic breath is my shit. I love some atomic breath from Godzilla. It's so
there's
cool.
There's something about the atomic breath and how it's used in this film that I want to reiterate. This is that this Godzilla is not like any other standard Godzilla. Even if you're not a fan of Godzilla movies, I would highly recommend watching Shin Godzilla, because of the fact that, again, this feels more like a disaster film. The scene where it uses its atomic breath genuinely terrifies me. The way that it is directed, the directing, the camera, and the overall scening and framing of those shots are truly terrifying. Because after it uses its atomic breath, it just lights the entire city in fire and smoke. And you don't even see Godzilla when they have the pan out scene. It's just fire enveloping the town. And that is scary.
You know what I actually think is another good contributing factor to how this Godzilla is honestly my favorite one? With Godzilla vs. Kong, they really portray Godzilla as this ancient animalistic sort of thing. It's an ancient creature that's super evolved.
Mm-hmm.
The movements of Shin Godzilla are so alien and foreign. The little jolts in motion that its body does, the weird unnatural way that its tail moves, and just the overall movement of it. I think the CGI for doing it aids it better, that it's not super high quality like Legends Godzilla, because it makes it feel more like an alien creature. Even though it's not an alien, it's so foreign that it's scary.
Oh yeah, there are parts, like, again, during the bridge scene where when it was walking, I was noticing that it wasn't walking like casually, it was like juddering. Like every step it like shook and like recoiled because its body was like trying to compensate for its own movement. Like it moving was breaking it and building itself back together constantly.
And the small little motions, like when when you see the tail towards the end of the movie and it like just like snaps to reveal it's starting to grow a jaw.
Yeah.
Do you know how fucking scary that was?
And it's a very, very quick like scene too. It just goes, and that's it.
And
just, there's the jaw now. It has the jaw.
I'm not gonna give any even remote description on the ending, but the last scene of the movie, Chibi.
That actually, again, that scares me.
I paused it to show you that.
It's really scary. This whole movie's scary.
It's
but
really good.
There's some really good things that happen in this movie. Because there's a theme that continues throughout the entire film, where, and we did make jokes about it while we were watching, is that at the start of the movie, it starts with a meeting, like a government meeting, and then the Japanese government is doing this meeting. There's this disaster. They have a meeting about the disaster. They have a meeting about what to do about the disaster. They have a press conference, and they do a meeting about the meeting that they just did. And it's just all these meetings. And there's this one guy who's like, it's a giant aquatic creature, and he's told to shut up because he's lower on the totem pole. And then he's told by his higher up is like, look, if you want to make it in government, you need to fall in line. You need to just go with the flow and start schmoozing up to people, so that way you can get higher up, and later on, when you are higher up, maybe then you can make decisions and start affecting things. And that is a theme that carries over, is a lot of people telling people to fall in line and them actively not doing that and actively making things better.
And actively schmoozing up too is like, there's a lot of like, even the dude who's like not falling in line and trying to do what he thinks is right, he's still got another person there like, just save me a cabinet seat when you become prime minister. Like, they're constantly putting in like the work to like network up higher and higher through this. Also, the protagonist of the movie, who I would call him the protagonist, I don't think there's any disagreement on it. Yeah, boss ass name, Rando Yaguchi.
Yeah, he's really cool. Really cool name.
Also, and what I love about this, when they have the Japanese girl come in who's working on behalf of the US, it feels like there may be a slight semblance of an attraction there, but the primary focus is Godzilla. It's not...
And they're just dealing with that.
It's not,
nothing else.
Maybe we could be together before Godzilla kills us. Or like, we'll save it for after we've dealt with Godzilla, then I'll ask you out. Her actual line fucking gets me at the end of it, because I think it's really fucking good, where it's like, why don't you just become prime minister? Because when I'm the first female president of the United States, you'd be a good counterpart to have here in Japan. It's like, fucking yes, keep your goals, girl. You are...
And his response is amazing, where he goes, don't you mean that I'd be a really good puppet?
Like, they're
just like, you just want to use me. I don't even care.
That's something I like, where it's a dynamic where it's not a romantic relationship. It's bordering from a semi like business to kind of an actual friendship, and I like that.
It's a pseudo friendship that's kind of going on.
It didn't need to go further than that, because it would have felt forced if it went further than that.
Something that is only hinted on, but there's a weird sense of like nationalism or nationalistic pride in this movie. Towards the end, and I don't want to give spoilers. A lot of people die.
Yeah.
A lot of people die. And it's almost kind of treated like a weird noble kind of thing.
which is weird.
Well,
But there's a really good line at the end, of course, where it's just like, a politician has the option of hiding it or owning up to it, and I'm choosing to own up to it. It's like, oh, he's fully taking responsibility for all of this death. I'm like, oh damn.
And
That's kind of
straight up to even Godzilla on the side, there was actual genuine consequence to this creature being here, aside from what it could do, but what the world could do as a whole, because it really gets me, because the scene is, most of the people there, they were ready to fight against Godzilla. Like, a lot of the Japanese people were, like, excited to, well, not excited, but they were willing to stand up for it. You really can't mask the level of despair they saw in their face when they were told the US is going to drop another atomic bomb to get rid of this Godzilla problem. And it's like, that is a very real crisis that Japan had to deal with, and even to this day still have fallout from it, because there's a lot of, you don't just recover from emotional turmoil like that. That was a very, very severe thing. And some people are still alive from the outcome of that shit. So
to
that
drive
is,
it home even further. The director made a really interesting choice for this film. I still don't know how to feel about it, but there were actual real images that had been taken after the atomic bombs had dropped that were put into this movie to drive it home further how much the Japanese people really don't want a third bomb.
and it's like, even the one in the US where it's like she's actively fighting against it, because it's like, I can't stay here to see a third bomb dropped on the place that my grandmother loved dearly more than anything else. I can't watch our home go through something like that again. There are people in here who are like, they're pleading with the prime minister, like, please don't let them do this. Like, it's not worth sacrificing our country to deal with Godzilla. And it's, they even give the line too, which you said you were a little surprised because you disregarded it, but then you accepted it as like, oh shit, that is real. Where it's, the US stated, if the same thing was happening in New York, this would be the same protocol they'd do, where they would give up New York to destroy Godzilla. And really thinking about it now, it is kind of like scary to think that if a really big, like, world-class disaster like this did show up, our country really does find us kind of expendable, like where they would nuke a massive portion of it
Yeah.
to stop a world-class threat. And in a weird, morbid sense, I get it. To, like, if this thing could destroy the world, a country or a city is, like, kind of a trade that's not reasonable to make, but something that you would have to consider the fallout for. But it's just kind of weird to think that these places that you think are so secure, they're really just one bad choice away from being gone.
Yeah, just instantly.
And that's why I like this movie, because it really, King of the Monsters doesn't make me think about environmental, like, protection safety with Titans. It just, I thought the mom was stupid and I enjoyed seeing Ghidorah and Mothra. But it didn't give me a sense of, I actually had to sit back and contemplate what I just watched, not on a movie scale, but on an actual real life scale.
This Shin Godzilla has more to say about the subtext. There is an actual subtext to this movie, rather than Godzilla vs. Kong, which is just mindless, brainless fun, I would say, is where that movie goes to.
Fun is subjective.
In all fairness, Godzilla vs. Kong did do really well in the box office. 100 million even during COVID.
That's
it? It got to 100 million worldwide during COVID, so, which is kind of amazing to think about. People really just wanted their dumb, fun movie. And it succeeded in that. It succeeded in being a dumb, fun movie. The fights are pretty entertaining. I wouldn't say they're the best, but they're fun. And that's what matters.
Not to be...
I would recommend watching, if you want dumb, fun fights, watch the Mortal Kombat movie instead.
And I won't even be the type to just harp on it, because I will say some good things about Godzilla vs. Kong. While I hate the plot and a lot about it, Aside from Mechagodzilla, it is a very pretty movie.
Very pretty movie. Like the whole Hollow Earth area, very pretty.
It looks nice. Kong, I would say I've never really seen as good of a CGI'd ape as Kong. Like, he does look really good. Godzilla, I actively really do like the Legends design quite a bit.
Legends Godzilla is really cool. And I do also love that you know how the logo has like the blue and the orange under Godzilla and Kong?
Yep.
Those colors are used constantly in the movie to frame both of these characters. So anytime Godzilla has the upper advantage, you see a lot of blue colors and lighting. And whenever it's like a Kong-centric area, it's very orange and like really red in its like color palette.
I never noticed that.
It's kind of neat, and I really appreciate it. It shows that like the different two perspectives that are going on there, and whenever someone is gaining weight in a scene, the colors will change to reflect that. But that's really it. Like, it's a very simple movie.
Yeah, it's probably the worst of the Legend movies, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, Kong Skull Island is the worst. No, actually, I can't decide. You know what? I don't know if it's Godzilla is the worst, if Kong is the worst, or if Godzilla vs. Kong is the worst.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Really, King of the Monsters is the only one I like.
And here's the best part. You can watch King of the Monsters without seeing any of the other movies.
I did. I watched King of the Monsters before I saw the other ones, and then I was like, oh, this is really fucking cool. I should have seen the old Godzilla movie. So I went back and watched it, and I was very sad. And then I was like, alright, well, maybe they picked it up in Skull Island. That can't be that bad. And then I was very sad.
No.
I was so excited for King of the Monsters. Like, I was thinking about that movie after I saw it, and I was like, I really, really liked it. It was so pretty, and it was so cool, and I just want to see more King of the Monsters. And I tried to watch the other two, and I was sad. And I was actively amped for Godzilla vs. Kong because I liked King of the Monsters that much. I was like, alright, cool. This is probably going to be really good. I can't wait to see it. And I hated every single fucking thing about the humans, and especially the way they frame the people. And I don't think the fight scenes are enough to give it a pass for me, but it's a D plus movie.
Yeah, I would give it a passing grade. Like, if I had to give it out of a 10 rating, I would probably give it like a 6 or a 7, 6.5. Sure, why not?
No, that's like 5.5 is generous for me. This is about a 4.5, 4.75.
It does what it needs to do, but it doesn't do anything great.
Like, it's a very Wikipedia style movie. Like, it puts the information out there, but it's there.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Shin Godzilla, on the other hand,
out of all of the Godzilla movies that I have ever watched, which I've watched quite a few, I love a lot of old Godzilla movies for very ironic reasons, because I like going back to the old ones and seeing like some of the first Godzilla movies where they had to make like little puppet tanks and airplanes, and they just replayed them moving in to simulate like, oh, there's a bunch of them. So you just see like 3 tanks rolling up like 12 times in like the span of 20 seconds. It's just stupid. I love those movies. Shin Godzilla is amazing. Shin Godzilla is a fantastic Godzilla movie, and I would highly recommend, even if you're a Godzilla fan, and even if you're not, watch Shin Godzilla. The only problem is, it's kind of hard to get your hands on this movie.
It's tricky to find it, and especially watch it in the original Japanese. Don't watch it the English way, because it's not that good. Like, there's a level of charm to the way and I don't even know what it is. It's something I can't really explain, but I can try my best to. But you don't need to understand an actor to understand the emotion in their voice when they're doing it. And I think with the scenes where it's like they're talking about dropping the bomb to get rid of Godzilla, I don't think an American actor can ever actually replicate the voice of a true like Japanese actor who has to act out reliving a scene like that, because even though they're acting,
necessary to watch the Japanese.
There's just something about it that can't be replicated or can't be dubbed over. This is a movie that shouldn't have an English dub. Not to say anybody who did the English dub for did a bad job. I don't think it was like fucking fantastic, but it wasn't bad. But it's just, this is something you should definitely watch in the original Japanese, because you could even slap another face on this and call it like fucking Lizard-chan takes the city, and it doesn't have to be Godzilla to still have an impact. The movie itself is still a really good disaster movie. And maybe I'm giving it too much praise, but for me personally, 10 out of 10 movie. I don't have any complaints with Shin Godzilla.
I will give it a 9.5. Needs more meetings.
Alright, well, you know what? I think we've talked quite a bit about this in terms of these two movies. We've gone over it. We've gone over a lot about it. But with that comment you just said, Chibi, what do you say you and I end it here so that we can go have a meeting about this podcast so we can discuss what happened?
I would, but I need to inform you that I have my soggy noodles, unfortunately, so I have to miss this meeting.
I should have known this podcast wouldn't be easy.
Okay, no, in reality, no, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. Go watch it, yes.
Go watch it. Alright. Take care, everyone.